Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some new models to talk about tonight. It was about 3 weeks ago when we got our first glimpse of what appears to be a new 70s Les Paul Custom being produced by Gibson USA. We only knew about this one with the white top and the black back and edge. But we're able to confirm two more. We've got a wine red and that classic 70s tobacco sunburst. I would imagine we might see ebony and maybe white as like a Gibson.com exclusive eventually. But our new photos here actually tell us a lot about the specs. It's a three-piece top. Interesting choice. It definitely fits the 70s Les Paul aesthetic. It doesn't matter if you're going early 70s or late 70s, it's going to have the three-piece top. But to be honest, I think that's one feature that I probably would have been okay with had they not recreated it, because now I'm maybe just a little bit less excited for them returning to Gibson USA production. But at the same time, the 70s lover in me enjoys that we have that and some great plain tops going on. And we can also confirm that all these colors are coming with the witch hat style knobs. And once again, reconfirming the binding that we already talked about. But the big one is the neck. Look at it. They're doing maple. Yes! So excited for that. However, that means they're kind of blending the 70s specs together. When it comes to that era, you split it down the middle. Pre-1975, post-1975. There's a lot of things to consider, but you've got things like pancake body construction, what style knobs you're using, do you have the Nashville style bridge or ABR1? So this one has the post-75 Nashville style bridge, but yet it looks like all the other appointments are going for the early 70s until we get to that maple neck. So in a roundabout way, you could say they are reissuing a very specific 1975 Les Paul Custom that just happens to have transitional specs, and assumedly they got rid of the pancake body on it, and then somebody later on in the 80s threw the posi locks on it. Being Gibson USA production, I would be willing to bet it'll be a short neck tenon. But I guess we're just going to have to be patient a little bit longer. It's clear that dealers have these things. They're just not allowed to post them yet. We're also able to confirm price now. I was hoping it was going to be $35, but to say I'm shocked at $4,000, nah, it just matches the Supremes. Our next one, Gibson has joined the bandwagon. Gibson X LOOG. Yeah, there it is. We've got 3-string guitars now, with perhaps the world's ugliest headstock to bear the Gibson name. It really reminds me of the Sonics branding. But LOOG guitars are designed mainly for children first getting into guitar. It's the top 3 strings. I mean, you can tune them whatever way you want. They do electric and acoustic. But it was about a year ago that Fender partnered with LOOG, and I thought their offerings were fantastic because they got rid of the ugly LOOG headstock and gave it the Fender one. They also had the Telecaster body shape on top of the Stratocaster. But for Gibson's partnership, they let them use the Les Paul body shape. And while I would have loved to have let them at least use the Epiphone headstock shape, I'm just not sure how good that would have looked with 3 on it. And this looks like a TV Yellow Junior. It reminds me a lot of the vintage tenors. I found it interesting that they went with the wrap tailpiece. I wonder how well that's going to intonate for a guitar like that. But look at that pickup, only having 3 pole pieces. This thing just looks like a lot of fun. But outside of TV Yellow, they also have a shell pink and then a frost blue. Now we're getting Billy Joe Armstrong vibes. And oh my goodness, they're utilizing maple necks on a 50s style. That's funny. It looks like they're also crafting them with scarf joints. And they also have one SG in cardinal red. Looks like they're going after that 1971 body style. That's a super chunky shape. There's no beautiful contoured edges to that at all. And hey, if neither of these are speaking to you, if you go through their activity book and some of the other promo materials, do you see what I see down here? We've got an Explorer and a Flying V. They're not just going to let them do that and have these other ones be over here if we're not eventually going to get those. Let's just say that Explorer, that's a must-have. Is it a fun novelty thing for $230? I'll let you decide. For just a little bit more, you could step up to the Epiphone Tribute series. At least the SG, the Les Paul, yeah, that starts to up in price. Or you might consider something like the Les Paul Special 2. There's plus tops that are quite beautiful for a similar price range. They're all bolt-on neck construction at this level. Next up, the 335 figured lineup received 2 new hues. An iguana burst, which is rather shocking to see. And if the backs on all the rest are anything like the stock photo example, I can confidently say I would be pleased with that. You can even see the figuring on the edge. But not all figured branded ones are necessarily crafted equal. but the back of the neck is just straight up green. But this is kind of cool. This shows that Gibson is listening. We've had the deep purple range for quite some time now, across many different models. But this is what I've been wanting to see more of. Not quite as dark. As a used instrument dealer, whenever I get something in this hue, they always seem to sell really, really fast. So I think they're on to something on this one. Because arguably, I would say the figuring on this one really is not that good, but it still looks nice. But check out the coloration on the neck. I love it. That must be a rather lightly colored mahogany neck on that one. Because this is a maple back and mahogany. It's the exact same finish, but there is a color difference due to the colorations of the wood underneath. But important to note, these are .com and garage exclusives. If anybody's interested in a new guitar, dang one, feel free to reach out. Even the ES330 got to have some fun, a watermelon.com exclusive. What do you guys think? It's not my favorite, but I like that it exists. Because previously we just had that tried and true cherry with a very, very traditional tobacco sunburst. And the classic Lennon vibe natural with, ooh, straight jet black ebony as an exclusive. Kind of boring. And then we recently came out with the dark walnut. But once you come over to the watermelon territory, it's like, yeah, that's fresh, brand new. Wouldn't have thought about putting this on the 330 like they've done in the past with the 335s. It reminds me of taffy, and look at the neck on that one. They're not all going to have that candy cane striping, but that particular one, yep, I would review and demo it. We've got more exclusive Cobra bursts. But first we have it on an Explorer custom. Do you guys see the difference between this one and this one? They've added a maple top to it. That's a really nice wide flame. It pairs well with that particular hue because it just accents all the grain. Although they decided to spec it out with golden hardware. I'm all right with that, but I feel they super let us down here with a black back. If we could have had a Cobra burst back, side, neck, headstock, this would have been a must-have for me. Especially because this is custom shop. They're not using cheap, nasty grade mahogany. It'd be nice to show it off a little bit. Sadly though, adding a maple top and a new finish comes at a hefty price of $7,700. Up from $58. $2,000 upcharge for a maple top seems a bit excessive, but I wouldn't blame you if you bought it. But that is also joined by a Flying V custom. Same complaints here, as well as compliments. I think the gold on this one pulls it off even better. Something about that really sharp, like actual sharp jagged edge to our pick guards, and output jack plate cover for that matter, makes it pretty slick. And also the same price, a Firebird custom. Now this is interesting. It reminds me of the Tak Matsumoto. Still has the slightly less desirable headstock to it, but putting a maple top on a set neck Firebird, you certainly do not see that every single day outside of, once again, the Tak Matsumoto models, which are a little bit different than this, as well as the Slash Signature Edition. I feel bad for the poor RD. He's the only one out of the group that's been left out of putting a maple top on it at some point. Next, I hope you guys like acoustic land, because I've got a whole bunch of acoustic reviews coming up, but I love Argentine gray finish, love the Nick Lucas model, don't love the $10,000 price tag, but this is a very nice looking parlor acoustic. It's just so beautiful and rustic. It's got the heavy aging job to it. I was trying to figure out what's going on. Is that golden drum shell binding? And then the multi-laminate of binding otherwise. It's a very simple bridge construction, small body. Looks like they did the whole drum shell for our rosette as well. Maybe this thing would actually be quite fancier in person. We actually have reviewed one of these if you're interested in learning how the Nick Lucas model came to be and relates to SpongeBob. But these were the very first Gibson artist signature guitars. Check that headstock out. The Gibson. Looking so fancy. And of course we got all of our good old flowers and spades and whatnot for our inlay work. And if you were expecting things to get fancy on the back, no, it's really, honestly, pretty tame back here. And otherwise, they just introduced some new aged acoustics. So here's a 55J45. Looks like a well-worn player. Very basically spec'd. Same thing for a Dove finished in dark natural. But yeah, I just love the look of the mid-60s Doves. They're my favorite acoustic ever. At least cosmetically, because I've always been a big fan of the Dove truss rod cover when it has the white dove wing in the center. And even though I know the vintage Clues and Waffle bags aren't good tuners by any means, they just look so fancy and nice. The thing that's always stopped me from buying a vintage original is maintaining it. I mean, getting a neck reset, because most of them sadly will need it. So maybe, just maybe, I could be the target demographic for that guitar. But here was another Big Mac Daddy pre-war J200 Rosewood. It's not cheap, but if you're looking for a Rosewood constructed J200, yep, that's it. It's got the fancy boy Grover Imperial tuners. It's got the awesome 2-ply truss rod cover with old-timey Gibson logo with the finish checking, and even the crown is the older style. And Rosewood back and sides, hey, why not? Just adds to the fun, and we got this interesting dark burst finish here. And as far as our pick guard, I'm not really sure the history on what years have what, but having the blue, white, yellow, dark green, lighter blue, bit of white in there, that's fun. I wonder what material that's made out of. Or is it just paint? But all right, Troglodytes, that's all the new models I have to discuss with you tonight. Which one was your favorite? Thank you for taking the time to put that down in the comments. It really does help. And we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.